Want to thank our sponsor, Parati's Quality Meats, located in Cranford, New Jersey, serving customers all over New Jersey for the past 50 years. Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Coach's Talk presented by the Shore Football Report. And today we have the Big Red of Ocean Township head football coach, Coach Don Klein. Coach, thanks for coming today.
Thanks for having me, Coach. Appreciate it. Been looking forward to it.
Real excited to talk Big Red football. A lot of tradition there, Coach. A lot of tradition. We were very fortunate to play you guys 2 years ago. We didn't have a lot of fun when you beat us, though. But there's so much tradition at that school, and to be a part of it, how is it exciting for you?
It's very exciting. Like you mentioned, there's a ton of tradition there. Coach Conti, 1983, brought the Big Red program to Ocean Township, and prior to that, Ocean really hadn't had much success, or at least consistent success. But Coach was able to bring in and establish a culture that we're still, very much following today in many different respects. So, football matters at Ocean Township. It matters to the community, and to be in charge of the program is a great responsibility, but it's a lot of fun. And I'm very fortunate to do it with a lot of really, great players and great coaches.
A lot of those alumni are very proud, still wearing their varsity jackets. I watched going to your games. They still fit into those jackets on your sidelines or in the stands. And such a rich tradition of football there at Ocean Township. So proud, and they're so supportive of their current football program now. It's really a unique situation, and it's something really nice to look at when you're another coach in another district. It really is, Coach.
I appreciate that, Coach.
Coach, let me introduce you a little bit, and then you're going to talk about your process in a second. Coach Klein is currently in his 15th season at Ocean Township, where he's got 79 wins, 3 division titles, 9 state playoff appearances you made. And, Coach, I'm going to put an asterisk because last year in the COVID, you would have made the playoffs too, because those stats kind of don't get put into people's career stats. So 9 state playoffs you've been in seasons. And the great thing I was looking up was you've been to the finals 5 times. Is that correct? Am I
the semifinals 5 times.
Semifinals 5 times.
Yes.
That is incredible, Coach. You're right. To get your guys to that level is tough. First of all, just making the playoffs is tough. To getting them to that second round into the state playoffs right there 5 times, that is an incredible accomplishment. And I'm sure that is your goal every year, is to get to the finals too.
Yeah, and that's a big thing that we focused on. I mean, like you mentioned, they're very fortunate to have a lot of success, but we have to find a way as a program to win that semifinal game to play for a state title. I mean, that's ultimately what our goal is every year. And we've been fortunate to have some really good teams and to do a really nice job. But we're focused on winning a semifinal game and getting to the final and having an opportunity to play for a rank.
Well, I mean, looking at your roster, we'll talk about that later. You got some boys, too, that I think could help you get to that point, too. You really do. So let me talk. Before you were the head coach, you were an assistant coach for 3 years at Ocean Township. And before that, for 2 years, you were in law school. Wow, that's good to know that I have a connection here. In case No wonder why you got all the calls.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm a good negotiator, I guess. So I graduated Franklin and Marshall College in 2001.
Yeah.
I came home for a year, and I coached at Shore Regional for a year. My alma mater, Coach Kaz was a big influence on my decision to ultimately get involved in teaching and coaching, and had a really good experience playing for Coach. And he's obviously had a lot of success at Shore Regional.
Yes.
So was interested in that, and went to law school 2 full years. So couple different things happened. My main focus in law school was really to get involved in sports and entertainment law. I wanted to be an agent. And there were a couple guys that I was very friendly with that were very, very intelligent guys and hardworking guys that ultimately tried to go out on their own and do that and really didn't have much success at all. So I kind of saw that and said, you know what, if this is the environment that is currently in regards to kind of starting your own practice and representing athletes, it's very, very competitive. I said, let me take a step away from it. And I was considering not going back for my 3rd year when I got a phone call from Sal Spompanato, who was the head coach at Ocean before me. And he was friendly. There was a guy on staff that was friendly with my brother. And my brother was talking to his friend saying, listen, I don't know if my brother's going back to school. He may decide to try to teach and coach. So Sal called me, got me on staff. I was on his staff for 3 years, had a really good experience. And then ultimately he decided to leave and took the head job at Monmouth Regional, and I was fortunate to be hired as the head coach at Ocean Township. And at 27 years old, that was a pretty big accomplishment.
I think you made a nice decision with that. And before the law school, you were at Shore Regional, like you said, with Coach Kaz. Now, Coach, that's pretty interesting steps that you did, having a little break in between your coaching. For right now, I want you to talk about the process. And in the process, you just don't get to be a head football coach at Ocean Township. You have steps that you got to go. Nobody gets handed the job. You know as well as I do. So everything you did was putting a nickel into your resume, and you cashed in when you did the interview. You won the interview apparently because you got the job. Walk us through how you started loving the game of football back in Pop Warner, back in middle school, whenever you started putting that mouthpiece in, and walk us through the steps that led you to where you are as the Big Red Ocean Township head coach.
Yeah, growing up, I mean, I was a three-sport athlete, played football, basketball, baseball. Really kind of fell in love. I was probably a better baseball. Baseball was probably ultimately my best sport. I played that in college as well, played football and baseball at Franklin and Marshall. But there's nothing like football. I mean, the physical nature of the game, the competitive nature, the brotherhood that you have with your teammates, the sacrifices that you make. I mean, if you're a person that enjoys that type of experience, then ultimately it's a simple or easy transition to have interest in wanting to coach and kind of lead young men in that position. So I grew up, I was a pretty accomplished athlete, did a nice job through Shore Regional, like I mentioned, Franklin and Marshall College, played two sports there. But having the opportunity to ultimately be a head coach was something that I always had a desire for. And I think getting an assistant job, at Ocean Township under Sal Spompanato, we had some really good teams with Sal. And I think my work ethic, I think my ability to relate to our players, to motivate our players, and then ultimately the game itself, right? I mean, you've coached, you know what it's like to implement a game plan and have meetings and kind of go through that process of saying, I think this is going to have success, or I think we're going to be able to put our players in a position to do well with this. And then to go out and watch that happen is pretty cool. And, ultimately, we have one shot at this thing, and to be in a position to be a head coach at a school like Ocean Township was something that I had interest in, basically right away from being an assistant for Sal. And then Spomp took the head job at Monmouth Regional. It was kind of a program that was down a little bit, and he had a lot of success at Ocean for the 3 or 4 years that he was there, and wanted to try to bring some success over there. So when the job opened, there was a lot of competition for it, as you can imagine. Imagine there's a lot of people that would like this job. But I think like I mentioned, my ability to relate to the players, motivate. I worked hard for Spomp, and I think people saw that. And ultimately, George Conti, who was an administrator at Ocean Township during that time, was basically my biggest fan. So he's been my biggest fan from day one. He still may be my biggest fan. He's very, very supportive of me. And complimentary, and I think Coach had a big deal in saying this is the right guy for this job at this time.
Coach, I'm all about coaching trees. I really do. I love hearing about where people came from and connect and all that. One guy is Coach Kaz. He's a Hall of Fame coach, as you know. He's got 191 career wins. He's top 10 all time, and now you go out and branch and you're climbing up the ladder right now. I mean, you're 79 wins and counting. You're young. You got a very good next couple of years that you can see. You never know what's going to happen after 4 years because they're not in the school. But you have some dudes coming up and all that. You're always detailed. Your teams are very organized. You're very good at what you do. Was that a lot that Kaz showed you to do?
Yeah, Coach Kaz and I are different in regards to our approach. When I played for Kaz, when I coached for Kaz, I still talk to Kaz and guys on his staff. Kaz, I believe Kaz calls the offense and the defense. We may even call the special teams. I mean, he's really got his hand on everything.
Coach, he ran the Pop Warner too. 1 year.
Yeah.
So
right.
He does everything there.
So that's something my approach is to surround myself with great people and obviously I have a certain philosophy and things that we're going to do, but I'm fortunate that I have a really good staff and I allow them to coach and to kind of do their things. I like those guys taking ownership over that certain aspect of it. So there's definitely things I've taken from Kaz in regards to his organization's preparation. Kaz does a really, really good job of preparing his teams in the offseason also. The weight program that they used was very good.
Oh, yeah.
His conditioning was very good. So there's definitely things I took from my experience playing for him and coaching with him for that year. But there's also some things that I do a little bit different. I mean, we're different offensively, defensively too, to a certain extent, philosophically. But no, Kaz is a legend. And the opportunity to play for him was awesome.
Yeah, I just love looking at coaching trees, and it's great in the off season when you kind of talk about where you're going, where this coach has gone, where it's really really unique thing for us coaches. Coach, that's a very impressive process, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about the Big Red in this interview. All right, Coach, I'm going to take this mask off because I'm sick of wearing it during that COVID part of the season that we all weren't prepared to ever coach. Coach, you've coached for 17, 18 years, and nobody prepared you for life as a coach with COVID. We didn't even know what COVID was. We didn't even know what pods were. We didn't know what, all those rules that we had. Tell me something positive. I'm sick of hearing negative. Tell me something positive that you learned from the COVID season with your program.
Yeah, I learned that, our kids in Ocean Township are still resilient. They were able to handle adversity. A lot of kids in today's society, I don't know that they handle adversity all that well. And life is all about handling adversity. And we talk about that a great deal at Ocean, and with last year's team in particular. The ability to handle difficult situations and to overcome them is a huge quality, trait to have. And at Ocean Township, we proved that last year. Obviously, everybody's working under the guidelines and the different cohorts and restrictions and things of that nature in order to keep your kids safe. But ultimately, we did not play a game scrimmage last year because the team we were supposed to play had a COVID issue. Our week 1 game was canceled because the team we were supposed to play had a COVID issue. And our first pod game was canceled because the team we were supposed to play had a COVID issue. So, at Ocean Township, we had mentioned before, kids growing up, they're growing up waiting to play at Ocean. They're waiting for their senior year. They're waiting to run out there and make their mark, and to put everything that we put into it on a daily basis, to have a lot of those things changed or altered or canceled it can be devastating to young people, can make them really upset. But the team last year, I learned about our kids. I learned our ability to focus, our ability to overcome, and it was really, really refreshing to see a bunch of young people be able to handle adversity and still remain focused, not point fingers, not allow it to get us off track. We had some of our biggest wins on the back end of the season after we handled some of those adversity, and that was good to see that the young men in our community are able to handle challenges and remain focused and overcome.
And that's real tough as a head coach, because I know exactly what you're talking about. You have to hand the news to your program that a game was canceled at the last second. Every time that phone rang for you, because we all would get nervous if you called me or that coach called you, because you didn't know if it was a bad call during that time. You didn't know if people were shutting down, or FYI, 3 other schools shut down, and it was just really tough. But a lot of pressure was on you too to keep everything in a positive light because of all the other people's issues with COVID too.
Yeah, and I think ultimately, the team will take on the identity of the head coach, and they're waiting for you to show a chink in the armor, because then it becomes okay. So if I allowed it to get us down, or get my staff down, or allow us to be upset by all the things that we're having to deal with, it would have given them a reason to say, okay, well, now I can be upset too. We didn't focus on that. We never dwell on the negative in the program. We always move on, whether it's a bad game, a bad play, whatever, bad practice, whatever it is, flush it and move on. And obviously, when we got news like that games were canceled, we would share the news, communicate it to them, and then that would basically be the last time we talked about it. So, you do have to make sure that you maintain a certain level-headedness and a certain approach that you convey to your players, especially during times of difficulty like that.
And from a football aspect, you want to develop not only your seniors, but your underclassmen. So you have some good players that we'll talk about a little bit later that didn't have that full circle of games, maybe even practices too. So everybody,
and the preseason and the weight room. I mean, the big thing that we do, and I know a lot of programs do a nice job in the off season, but our numbers are never really high, right? Last year at one time, I think the freshmen ended up coming up with us at the varsity level, and we had 42, 43 guys in the program. That was including freshmen.
Mm-hmm.
So our guys need to be conditioned, and a big part of that is what we do in the off season, and that was taken away from us. Basically, it was in March, April, May, June. Those 4 or 5 months where our kids are getting bigger, faster, stronger, and we have a program that we believe in and what we do in the off season. That was taken away from us. So that physical development was restricted. And then you go out to practice, and like you mentioned, the practices were different in regards to what we were able to do. So the development of last year's team, the seniors and the underclassmen, was definitely stunted during COVID.
Okay, now, Coach, I would like for you to talk a little bit about your 2021 Ocean Township football schedule on the left, and then on the right is the newly formed Constitution Division with a bunch of familiar teams and maybe, actually, I think you are familiar with a lot of those teams, but we'll talk about that in a second. Coach, take the floor with your schedule.
Yeah, so, if you look at it, we opened with Matawan at home. Matawan was the team that we were supposed to play last year, but I think they had some COVID issues. Ultimately, that game was canceled. But, they're going to be prepared. I'm sure they're going to be hungry. We did watch some film of them. Big physical back that's coming back. Quarterback, receiver. They definitely have some players that we have to be aware of. And, Matawan teams are always really gritty and well coached and motivated to play. It's a home opener for us. I think that's actually a Thursday night. It's listed there on a Friday. I think we open with them on a Thursday night.
You're right.
Ocean Town, Raritan, right? So a couple funny things, right? Raritan, number one, got a ton of respect for those guys. I mean, really, really well coached, well organized.
Mm-hmm.
They got a bunch of guys back. They're going to be a really, really competitive team next year.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, too, I'm not a huge stat guy or whatever, but I feel like we've played Raritan. We've gone to Raritan at least 3 or 4 times in a row. I don't know why we can't play those guys at home. But, we've literally played at Raritan for the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Consistent. So they like us making the trip up there. Tough place to play. Like I said, Anthony, they do a great job. And I know they have a lot of good players coming back. Manasquan, legendary program in the short conference. Again, really well coached. Kids are extremely tough and durable. I know they have a couple really good players, too. I got a couple guys on staff. My OC is a Manasquan guy, R.J. Reed. Mm-hmm. His dad, Rich Reed, offensive line coach for us now, is an assistant principal at the high school. He's a longtime Manasquan coach. So we know all about those guys. We played them, quite frequently over the last few years. Red Bank Regional, we traveled there. Obviously, Coach Fallon in his first year at Red Bank. I did watch his interview, parts of that. He was correct in saying that I was a better quarterback than him. But I also would I'd be willing to accept a 40-yard dash against Coach maybe during halftime.
You did hear that, right? You did hear him say that.
I heard what he called me afterwards. So, but now that's motivation for me to train a little bit. Maybe we can do that at halftime of our game. But listen, Shane's going to do a great job. He's a winner everywhere he's gone. Mm-hmm. He's going to install a real good program at Red Bank. He showed their facilities off. They have nice facilities. He's got a good staff. So Red Bank's going to be a really good test. Old Brick, right? Brick Township. I have to travel to go play those guys. Haven't looked at them too much, but obviously Brick is Brick. I know they're well coached, and I did hear that they have a number of players back. Mm-hmm. So I think they'll be pretty competitive. Red Bank Catholic, that's just a machine right now, right? Yeah. The rich get richer. They've got a number of terrific players that are coming back off last year's team, and they were able to add a number of terrific players from other programs as well. So they'll be very, very good. And then Long Branch, right? So Long Branch Ocean, great rivalry. Coach George is another legend, right? He'll be a Hall of Famer. Oh, yeah. And Long Branch always has a good mix. They're going to have some competitive kids. They're going to have some talented athletes. They're going to have some tough kids up front. So that schedule's a bear, but it's been a bear every year, basically. Like you mentioned, it's my 15th year as head coach at Ocean Township, and we are typically playing a who's who of football teams in the short conference. This year's no different. But there's some really, really, really good teams there and good programs.
Yeah, and when the other programs were on, they were talking very highly, like you are talking about their programs too. Coach, looking at your non-division games, because we'll talk about your division, and oh my God, usually non-division is some breathers. you're talking about Matawan, Brick Township, Long Branch. Now, Matawan, you got Coach Graber, who's very successful in Allentown. He's now at Matawan for, I think, his third season. And when as soon as he turned the switch and get with the production of what he's expected, Matawan's going to be back to Matawan sooner than later. Brick Township has got, like you said, a whole big body of guys coming back, a lot of excitement, looking good in their summer workouts. And Long Branch with Danny George, yes, he's going to be a Hall of Fame coach. This is his last year. He announced that this is his last season, and they got some guys coming back, and they've done real well in the 7-on-7s. That's a scary 3 non-division games. I think so.
Yeah, we had coached against Coach Graber when he was at Allentown. His teams were really well prepared. Does a really, really nice job. And like you mentioned, you're going into year 3. You're going to have your expectations set with the players that are in that program. So they've been in Coach Graber's program for a few years now, and they're going to know what's expected from them. And I'm sure some of the success that he's had previously will start to transfer over there to Matawan. So that's a scary proposition. Brick Township, like you mentioned as well, and then Long Branch. Listen, Ocean Long Branch, great rivalry, right? I mean, in my estimation, Long Branch and Ocean Township should play each other each year. Ocean Township and Neptune should play each other each. There's just certain rivalries that are, geographically speaking, that they're very close and really lead to some really competitive games. And we've had some competitive games over the years with Long Branch during my time. We've played 12 times and we're 6-6.
Oh,
so
wow.
does that doesn't tell you how competitive and evenly matched those programs are. Going into my 15th year, we've played LB 12 times, and like I said, I think we're 6-6 against those guys over those 12 visits. And like you mentioned, Dan made a public statement that this will be his last year. I know his family's getting a little bit older, and his daughter's playing college, I think, lacrosse, so he's probably got some things going on there. But really a legend in the Shore Conference, state of New Jersey, and they're gonna be really, really, really strong team this year.
Yeah, that is true. Now, Coach, looking at the Constitution Division, I look at that and I do not envy the defensive coordinators, because not only are they all good football programs, they all have dynamic quarterbacks that are dual threat on the football field, and including yourself. You got a dynamic one yourself there. Coach, every single week you're going to have to prepare how to stop a quarterback from running and passing, and probably the main player on their offensive teams. That's a pretty equal division, I think it is, from top to bottom. From top to bottom, that is very equal. All teams with playoff expectations, week in, week out.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, all well-coached teams, organized teams, teams that have similar tradition and similar expectations on what they're going in. I mean, Manasquan is expected to win. Raritan, they're expected to win. Coach Fallon's going to bring a winning environment and attitude to Red Bank, and then Red Bank Catholic, like I mentioned, is kind of a little bit of a different situation just because of what they got going on there personnel-wise. But a lot of talent, and it starts at the quarterback spot. Being able to run and pass and to put that pressure on defenses is in today's game is almost necessary. And these guys are really all talented. Yeah, I'm starting to get anxiety just looking at that list right now.
Okay, now, Coach, if you could talk about your football assistant coaches, and they're the glue to the football program. They're very important, and they make us head football coaches look good every single time. You're only as good as your assistants. So let's hear about your loyal assistants.
Yeah, agree with that statement 100%, Coach. I mean, our success has very little to do with me, everything to do with my coaches and our players. Offensively, my offensive coordinator is R.J. Reed. Like I mentioned him before, he was quarterback at Manasquan High School. Ultimately played in college. Was at Middletown South for a few years, and we brought him over. And Coach does a really good job. RJ's really, really innovative, young offensive mind. He works very, very hard at it. He has the right makeup to be an excellent football coach. So we're excited about his continued development, calling the offense here at Ocean Township. His dad is also our offensive line coach. Mentioned Rich before also. Rich Reed was a longtime coach under Kaboo at Manasquan. Again, you talk about a guy that's won everywhere he's been. Rich has done that, and really, really strong offensive line coach, and those two guys work really well together.
Mm-hmm.
We added Jay Wambaugh this year. He got a phys ed teaching job at the high school. He'll be coaching the offensive defensive line as well. Excited about that. I've had Sam Kinningham with me for the last few years also as an offensive defensive line guy. So, really a big believer in making sure that you are sound up front and that you have really good coaches working with your kids. Ocean Township, we've been fortunate to have a number of talented, skilled kids, but we don't have big kids. We don't have a lot of linemen that are walking the building that are larger type kids like a lot of the programs we play. So our kids have to be tough. They have to be well coached, and I think Rich and Jay and Sam will do a great job on both sides of the ball with them. Defensively, our defensive coordinator is Phil Green. He's again a young, really bright coach, hardworking. He was at Red Bank Regional for a number of years with Giglio, with Coach Giggs, and had a lot of success there. My first coaching job was Phil's freshman team at Shore. I played with his older brother there, and he's another guy, just a really motivated guy, works really hard, and that's hard to find. I mean, been doing this long enough where a lot of the younger coaches that are coming through the ranks now like the idea of coaching high school football. They like the idea of Friday night. They like the idea of wearing the staff shirt or whatever it is, but they don't typically understand what's necessary to be a successful coach. But those young guys get it. They grew up around it. They're motivated. They grind. So I'm really, really excited about those guys. Jim Simonelli on staff, who's a legend in the Shore Conference as well. I think Coach is going on his 51st or 52nd year of coaching high school football. He's a longtime defensive coordinator at Long Branch. So he's been with me. I think Coach has been with me 11 years now, 10 years. Got to go back and look at that. But Coach Tim does a great job. I mean, he's a tireless worker and always willing to help in any respect that he can with the program and relates well to the kids and really, really knowledgeable. So to have him is great. And then I have Coach Athens, Dean Athens on staff as well, working with the wide receivers, helping out the defensive backs. Dean was a really, really strong player at Ocean Township. My first year coaching at Ocean as an assistant was Dean's senior year. And it's good to have guys with Ocean Township roots on the staff. So excited about the staff, excited about how well we work together, excited about the message that we bring to the kids, a unified message of basically no excuses, right? We're going to prepare you guys. We're going to work our tails off. We're going to have a lot of fun while we're doing it. But I'm proud to surround myself with these guys.
Coach, I know you're a no-nonsense guy, and you're detailed in everything you do, but you must soften up when you bring back alumni. When you bring back alumni onto your staff with experienced coaches like Coach Sim and Coach Reeds, and you transition them into the program, it kind of gives your a boost of energy to your staff. Would you say that, having young coaches on the staff?
Oh, 100%. 100%. We have a really good balance. We all get along personally, which is important, but professionally, there's a great respect for everybody that's working also. And, there's no dead weight on staff. There's guys that they all fit in a role and they're working their tails off at it. And the kids, you can tell, enjoy being around them. And to have, diversity on staff is important, and to have guys that have different experiences, right? A number of our guys coached in college. Sam coached in college for a long period of time. RJ was doing some stuff at Rutgers for a period of time. So we have those guys, and then we have Sam, who's been around and basically seen everything, and then you have some younger type guys. So really, really good group. And then to get the alumni back is important. And the other good thing about alumni at Ocean Township, especially guys that played for me, they'll come back just to check in on us. So a number of guys that have played at Ocean Township will come by practice. They'll come to beach practice. They'll come by Friday nights and show their support. So it's a really cool community to be in, and I'm very proud to. The biggest kind of the biggest kind of thanks you can get is people coming back and showing interest. You know what I mean? And we're fortunate that we have a number of guys that do that.
It's great. The only thing that I have a problem with younger coaches is the word music, because you hang out with these coaches and they keep me young. And then you drive one of them home and they play their music. And that's where I'm like, wait, well, I don't relate to you. Like their kind of music and my kind of music, Night and day, man, night and day. But they do keep us coaches real young, and we start picking up their habits, and then our wives yell at us for stop acting like a 25-year-old guy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The music is definitely. I'm a country guy. When I was growing up, I listened to everything, but the rap music today, or whatever, that's not like back in the day. Biggie, Nas, like those guys are legendary music. This stuff today is brutal.
Whatever. That's another topic of discussion another time, the music. But it's good to have them in the locker room. They're very good with the kids, the younger coaches, and you don't just let anybody on your staff. I know that for a fact. So you do have a certain expectations, and if they're good enough to be on the staff, you allow them. So it's definitely a great reward to be on your staff, coach.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, coach, now we're going to talk 2021 Big Red Ocean Township football. But before you go on, just tell us what you run offensively and defensively briefly, and then let's talk about your key returners that are making you real excited about this season.
Yep, we're a spread offense. Multiple, we'll do different things, but inside zone, outside zone, gap schemes. Defensively, we're multiple 40. So we'll be an even front for the most part, but we're very multiple with some of the things that we'll do there.
Now, Coach, before we talk or you talk about your guys, I have been surveying the whole Shore Conference. Now that I'm not coaching, as a head football coach, I knew who the guys that you had, but maybe not as in depth. But now that I'm doing this and trying to evaluate players and try and get the best players on my watch list, I talk to coaches all over the place because sometimes I want to hear it from another coach what they thought about your players or your players about somebody else. Two names, underclassmen, that has been always brought up by all these coaches is Tyler Douglas, your junior, and junior Shane Garrett. Now, Shane Garrett's a D-line tight end, and Tyler Douglas just got offered, I think, by Monmouth University, and they're both juniors. And it sounds like outstanding character kids do, because whatever they did, they won people over. And that's important when you hear it from another coach. I value that a lot. And I always value what you say too. And I know you're very high in those two guys too. So let's hear who you have on your football team this year that's getting you real excited.
Yeah, well, we'll start with those two guys that you mentioned. I mean, when your best players are your hardest workers in the room, you have a chance to really build on the culture that you have. And I don't know that anybody's worked harder than Tyler and Shane in the offseason. Tyler Douglas started for us as a freshman at linebacker, played some secondary on that 8-1, 9-1 team, whatever that good team was.
Mm-hmm.
But he was all division as a freshman. I mean, playing defense. That tells you a little bit about somebody's toughness and their competitive nature. And then ultimately last year he started for us in the secondary and became our starting quarterback and had a really good season. Really came on towards the end as a dual threat kid. Had a tremendous offseason. 6'2", 195 pounds, extremely strong, fast, explosive. He did camp very well this summer. The Monmouth guys saw him multiple times before they offered. But they liked what they saw. I gave him a very strong recommendation. We've been fortunate. This is my third consecutive scholarship quarterback. I don't know any public schools in the state of New Jersey that are generating back-to-back scholarship quarterbacks. Kenny Pickett obviously is having a tremendous career at Pitt.
Mm-hmm.
He'll play in the NFL for a long time. He's going to be a high draft pick. Robbie Nungesser won a ton of games for us as well. He's at Franklin Pierce on scholarship. And now you have Tyler Douglas. And Tyler's probably, he's a little bit of both. Physically, he's really, really talented. But there's a consistent character trait in these guys, and it's really their competitiveness and their work ethic. When you compete day in, day out, and all you do, you have a tremendous workout. You have a work ethic. You have a chance to be a scholarship kid. So we're really excited about watching Tyler continue to develop in the program and see where his recruiting takes him and see where he can take our football team. And Shane's another guy too. Shane's got a lot of ability. He was up with us on that freshman team, on that varsity team his freshman year. That was really good. He was fitting multiple roles there. Last year he started both ways for us on the defensive line at that tight end flex position. He's also our long snapper. He's very, very talented at that as well. But Shane's a guy, he didn't miss any workouts. I mean, he's a basketball player and a baseball player, both pretty accomplished at the varsity level this past year, and he refused to miss workouts. So he would come back, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night to make sure he could get his lift in. Really, physical and technically sound. Mm-hmm. Obviously, he comes from a football family, which helps. So, really excited to see where he goes over the course of the next 2 years as well. Then you look at some of our seniors, right? So Nick Atchison's a returner on the offensive line. Really, really high on him. Had a good offseason. Nick Martinez is a wide receiver defensive back. Again, had a great offseason. Expecting big things from him as well. Ethan Brandemart is a senior that had a really, really good offseason. He's starting on the defensive line for us. So we got a number of guys that really did a nice job in the offseason that we're counting on. Anthony Daddario is another one. He was a quarterback for us now. He had a good offseason. We're looking at him on the offensive line to try to do some things for us there as well. And, Christian LaRosa, really, really talented running back. He's our starting running back returning last year. I think he rushed for 600 or 700 yards last year in an abbreviated season. Tremendous work ethic, kind of a good combination of speed and power. So we're excited about him as a senior. And then just some more of the underclassmen that you mentioned. I mean, C.J. Flanagan is an explosive kid, man. He played running back and slot for us last year. He'll probably fill that same role. He'll be a junior. Really, really strong, quick. Does a really nice job in the defensive backfield as well. So we're excited about him. Nick Caruso is a sophomore. He started for us last year as a freshman at center. Like Nick, one of the things that won me over about Nick hurt his snapping thumb, needed surgery on his thumb. And rather than miss any time, he snapped with his left hand all season. So when you talk about a freshman playing on the offensive line that's willing to do that stuff, it's really, really impressive.
Coach, I heard that kid's name by a lot of people too.
Yeah, he's 6'2", 270 pounds. He's really, starting to put things together physically, his work ethic in the weight room, and we're excited to continue to watch him develop as well. And we had a number of young offensive linemen. Iacuzi's a young kid. We have Giancarlo Palazzo's another young kid that's going to be in the mix there on the offensive line. Ben Trench is another kid I have to mention. He played last year defensive end. He's coming back this year as our open side end. He's a junior. The kid's got a motor. He's got a great first step. So we're excited about watching him be disruptive this year as well. So a number of guys that we're excited about, and a lot of those guys happen to be, in the sophomore, junior class.
That's great, man. A lot of great things, a lot of, great expectations, but you always have great expectations in your program right there. You got a lot of youth and you have some senior leadership, experienced staff with some young coaches in the mix. Coach, sounds like a pretty fun season. No more of this next year. Are you excited about starting? Did you start yet, or are you starting Monday?
Yeah, no, we've been going pretty good. So our schedule during the summer is Monday, Tuesday nights. The guys have to come because we practice those nights after we train, and then they pick 2 out of the next 3 days to come. So we do everything at night just because it gives opportunity for guys to work during the day. A lot of the coaches have summer jobs as well that they have to do, so we do things at night. And we've been going, pretty hard. We were able to do 7-on-7 with Rumson, Middletown South, Monmouth Regional. Did some of that stuff. Did a lot of speed work, conditioning stuff, and our weight room stuff is good. Our facility is fantastic, Ocean Township. If I was there, I would be showing you guys too, to show what the school and the community and the district have done for the program and all the athletes involved at Ocean Township. So we're in a good spot. We really are. We're fortunate to have a lot of things at our disposal, and I think for our players, it's a good time to be at Ocean Township.
I love that weight room that oversees the football field. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a really, really great facility.
Fantastic, man. That's great, man. So, Coach, I want to thank you for coming on the show. It was always a pleasure having somebody from the Big Red talking football. Now that I'm out of football, I'm going to be covering high school football in the Shore Conference, the shorefootballreport.com. So you do your football part on the field. I will cover your athletes and everybody else. Just keep promoting. When you get this video, show it to your whole program and let them keep following me on the shorefootballreport.com, and we'll make football fun. You guys on the field, me off the field. And, we're getting a chance to, be with the best sport in the world, football.
Agree with that. And appreciate your efforts with it, Coach.
Awesome. All right. Wishing you guys the very best, Coach, and I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Coach.